Hey, everybody. I did forget to hit the record button when I was on with Tom and Dave. So I figured I'd just do it as a tutorial, which doesn't have the live action to it, but at least you'll get the information. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so you should be seeing my email right here. So for those of you who are not familiar with Gmail, in order to get to the Google Drive, you'll be pressing these buttons up here, and you'll go to this triangle called Drive. This gives you Google Drive. Now, the alternative to this is absolutely just clicking on the link that I gave you in that email and bookmarking it in your own system. So this is just kind of the long way around it if you're using Gmail. You can use here, recents will get you the ones that you've most recently used, which would be those, or you could put 429 up here, and it's going to give you everything with 429. Of course, I have everybody in here, but basically it'll just kind of come up with yours, either the summary or your individual page. So that's how that works. That'll get you, and we're going to use Beth as our example, that'll get you to your individual page. And this is Beth's. So the first page is the business presentation, which is the answer that I came up with for that kind of baseball card of your business. And this is everything that we need to know. It took me about probably 40 minutes to fill out the whole thing, knowing what my goals were and everything, so in order to fill it out. So you'll fill in, so traction, Beth will fill in owner, here's the company organization, she's obviously EOS, et cetera, et cetera. The only thing that I'd like you to do for January, feel free to fill in as much as you like in January, it'll all be due in February by the February meeting, but is to go to lines 40 through 42, which are your goals for the year. So these are our Beth's annual goals. And I just put in, new customers, 25 by 1231, write a book and lose 10 pounds, right? So that's kind of where her big goals are, because those will flow over into this goals tab here at the bottom. And you'll see those are reflected right here. So the next thing also that I'd like you to do for January is fill in what those quarterly targets are. So in terms of, I already filled in for her new customers, but for write a book, it is going to be, the outline should be finished during first quarter. The first half is, and then the second half is complete, and then get publisher will be her fourth quarter, right? And if it's lose 10 pounds, maybe it's, get an exercise routine. I'd like you to concentrate, if you can, on the process. So the exercise will be, exercise, 6 times a week, etc. Okay. So that'll then also get reflected then in your monthly check-in. So this is the tab you're going to go to every month in order to check in about 2 days before, at least 2 days before the meeting. It's kind of like it was when we were during COVID. So it's, are you going to attend the meeting? Yes or no. The nice part is, if you know you're not going to be at a meeting because you've got something that's a conflict, please go in and put it in here already. So if Beth knows she's not going to be here in May, she'll go ahead and put that in there. That helps me plan in terms of knowing when people are not going to be there. Does she plan to arrive early or, arrive late or leave early? Here's a leave late, arrive early, leave late, you know what I mean? And an other, which may mean you have a big conversation, like maybe a phone call during the day, you can put that as the other. Here's where you register guests now. So if Beth is bringing Mike and she's bringing me, let's just say, she's going to put then all of the names of her guests right here in this space. This is going to replace, so this area right here is going to replace the Vistage website. So this is where Beth is going to type her summary. So this will be business, great sessions this month, got some really big breakthroughs with clients, had added 2 customers, clients, I guess it's clients. Okay, and then she'll go to the next one, personal and health, lost 2 pounds. exercise routine going well, and something maybe about, Mike is getting ready for retirement. Bought a house. Okay. Here's our check-in for who you had lunch with, or lunch bunch, or coffee, or whatever. So maybe she had it with me, so she put it Francine. Here's that numerical check-in. So how have you been doing since the last meeting? She's a 5 in terms of business. Personal, she's an 8, but health-wise, she's a 1. Okay. Here's where she does her issues. So let's say Beth has an issue about confidentiality. And this yellow is where she's going to do it. It's urgent, it's important, it can wait. So we're going to say this one's urgent. Here's where her goals showed up, right? So the Get the CRM was the first quarterly goal for 25 new customers by 10/31. So the quarterly goal for that was the Get the CRM. She's getting an A. This one I've changed so that it's much more of an academic. I killed it this month. I gave myself an A. I gave myself a B, right? So I did it, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. C is close, just passing. D is really, it wasn't that great. And F is I completely screwed it up, right? So those will be how you'll rate yourself in terms of your quarterly. You can see here that Get CRM is all through the first quarter, but Cadence Established, which is the second quarter goal, is right here. So you don't need to go back to that goals page every time. It's going to tell you what you said you wanted to do right here in these gray boxes, and those will feed it in. Last is the one-on-one, which is on this page. So the one-on-one you'll go into. Now, just as a reminder, Google Sheets, you don't need to send anything. You and I both share the link. So that means anytime you type, immediately I'll be able to see it. It's probably like a 1-second delay. So you don't need to share anything. As long as I sign on to the document and you've signed on to the document, we're both seeing it live together. That's one of the benefits of this. You don't have to send anything. The only question that came up with the last session was, how do you send it to your pod? So let's say that Beth is doing hers. What's your most important thing we should be talking about? New clients, right? What have you accomplished since we last spoke? Nothing. What projects are you currently working on? We'll just put in whatever. So if you want to do it to your pod, all I would do is cut and paste it. And then you can send that in an email to your pod. Sharing it with your pod is a little bit more difficult in terms of, I want this to kind of be your page as opposed to anybody else's. It's just you and I, not necessarily your pod. So I would just take this, copy it, put it in an email, and that's how you can send your one-on-one to your pod. You'll notice here a bonus question, which I'll fill in a different question every month just to kind of keep it fresh to see what that question is. So I'd appreciate if you do that. Then your direct reports are down here. So let's say that Beth has 2 direct reports, Betsy and Mike. Here she'll rate them on a scale of 1 to 5. Time to do something about it. Find their happiness elsewhere. Their week, it's less than acceptable, average, very good, or excellent. Right? So that's your ratings for there. And here is where you can be writing a little bit more about it. So, she gets direction, great, but she needs to improve her mastery of Excel, whatever it is. And then you can write that here. So that gives us something that we can talk about with those. You'll notice here it's got Francine's notes. These are the notes that I'll be taking during the conversation, which are things that I want to follow up with you on, or things that I need to do to make sure that I can get you a resource that you need or whatever, but you'll be able to see those as well. So the other thing that I just want to show you is, how do you check on everybody else's? So if you'll notice, I'm back on the monthly check-in page. There's a yellow button up here. One of the beauties of this as well is you can make this bigger. So here's the size, right? 150. You can make that bigger and you can still see all of your different ones. Somebody asked me what's going to happen when we're all the way to December. I will hide the columns as we go, or you can if you want to. So that way, maybe we eliminate first quarter by the time we get into second quarter. But we can just hide those columns, and I'll show you how to do that as we go. So if you want to go to the monthly summary page. It gives you this button to go to. You just click on it. And this is how you check everybody else's. If you're the host, or if you are, if you want to check it before the email that I'm going to send out. And I'll show you what that email looks like in a second. wait for this to load. All right, so we're going to go to the first tab here on this one. Is called the CE 429 Dashboard Summary, right? So here are all the ones for January. So Beth's will be great session this month, got some big breakthroughs. Remember, I just typed that, added 2 clients. Here's where all of that is. So you can just kind of go down and take it from here, right? The check-in summary, that's another thing that basically, instead of sending it to your pod can go into this summary and read it, because it'll be there as soon as you type it in. Check-in summary is here. So this is basically the check-in. So remember, we had a 5, an 8, and a 1. So the 5, if you're the host and you want to check in with them, you'd be like, hey, great job, Beth. Personally, you're exceeding your expectations. What can we do to help you with your health? Right. So that's 1. The issues, this helps with me with issues that we have, maybe 3 A's, 4 B's, whatever it's going to be in terms of issues. This will also help you track your attendance. So if you remember that there was at some point that we said, no, we're not going to be there, that would show up on this one as well. This is mine, is I'll be there, obviously, but like DD's, he's going to be there. He put in yes, everybody else can put in, this is just dummy information at this point. So, all right. The next one is, we did monthly summaries, we did the check-in summary. Here's the goals summary. It's got your annual goals in here, and then it keeps track of how you're doing month by month, same way that the poster did. This is where guests show up. So if you are the host, this will be where it'll show up. It will not count for you. They won't go in separate cells. It's all just one cell that'll say Mike, Francine, Bob, Dave, Mike, Jim, whatever it's going to be. And so those are going to be right on here, and you can count how many extra people there's going to be. And this is the roster. So this is the same way that we had it before, where it's got your food allergies, it's got your disc profiles, and it's got all the contact information, birthdays, and everything are all on here as well. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about is I'm just going to go back to your individual page. So some of the problems that people have been having are, and I'm just going to go back to the 100%. If you cannot enter, I'll go to business presentation. If you can't enter anything, it's not letting you enter anything, what you should be looking for is a message up here, right? So it's up here. It's kind of a green button like this, and it says view only. And you should go up in there and it says, request to share document. You have to hit that and then make sure that it sends a message to me and I approve you in order to share the document. It's the way that they do security basically in this, that I'm only approving the people who ask me for it. So if that's a problem that you're in this document, you can't enter it all, look for up here in terms of the view. The other thing that I didn't cover is how to put photos in, which is something that you want to do down in the personal. And so you'll just want to do insert, image. You can either do it in the cell, which is going to make it be that large or small, as the case may be, or you could do it over the cells. It really doesn't matter. You can upload it right from here, which is browsing. You can use your photos from your phone if you got the whatever. Here's Dobes and I eating, and Beth eating barbecue, Mary Beth, right? And you can move this over so it's not blocking everything, and put it kind of over here. So that's how you get photos in there, and that should save. And everybody can look at them when the time comes. All right. The only thing I'd like you to do for January, again, is these goals and then these quarterly goals. And we'll talk about it in your one-on-ones as well. Any questions, make sure you reach out and ask me, but otherwise, hopefully that will be, let me just stop sharing. Hopefully that'll be enough to get you started with it, and we'll get through any of the little hiccups that we need to. Thanks.